a sudden change.
Welcome back, Occupying the Media, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Thom Hartmann here with you. David Park is on the line with us, live from Tampa, Florida at the RNC. He is with the Job Creators Alliance. He's president and CEO of Austin Capital, LLC. The website, jobcreatorsalliance.org/leaders. And the Job Creators Alliance was formed by entrepreneurs to give a voice to small business, the engine of job creation. David, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You've started a business, apparently, Austin Capital. This is a company that you began from scratch?
Yes. In fact, I started when I was 24, about 21 years ago. It doesn't seem that long, but that was 21 years ago that I started.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
And I've built up and sold off 5 companies. I've started 7 companies and sold off 5 of them. So here we are, a couple of entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
How, in your mind, how do we best encourage entrepreneurship in the United States?
I think one of the 2 factors that I hear most often when I travel the country from small business in particular, small business being defined by companies under 500 employees, they tell me 2 things. One is to try to get rid of the uncertainty, and number 2, taxes is in the forefront of their mind.
Let's take those one at a time. Uncertainty. Can you please tell me any time in the history of the United States when there was no uncertainty, when people knew that who was going to be the next, every 2 years we have an election, who was going to control Congress, how things were going to be? We've always had uncertainty.
That's a great question. And the way that I answer that question is there's a difference between uncertainty and risk. We've always had risk, and in fact, we need risk in order for you to make money. But the problem that we have right now when we're talking about uncertainty is we're not quite sure not only what's going to happen, but what the rules are going to be. So the biggest issue that we
But again, we've never known that. I mean, the EPA came along and during the Nixon administration, and suddenly they changed the rules, and people had to put scrubbers on, and during the Nixon administration, I think it was, you had to put seatbelts in cars, and so the auto manufacturers. I mean, there's always been uncertainty.
Well, that's not uncertainty, that's risk. So if you say that you have to do something, that is no longer uncertainty. Uncertainty basically means that you're not quite sure not only what's going to happen. So just very similar to if anybody out there listening has ever been concerned about something, but you're not quite sure what the outcome is going to be. You're not quite sure how you're going to resolve these issues. So you sit there and you panic. You sit in bed, you lie up in bed, you wake up every 5 minutes or so, and you never get any sleep.
So you're telling me that if I own a company that is making widgets, and I get an order for an additional 500 widgets, and in order to make them, I'm going to have to hire a guy an extra guy for my assembly line. I'm going to say, I'm so uncertain. I'm waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweats. I'm not going to hire this guy. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
There is a certain amount of people that are sitting on their hands. And in fact, let me give you an example. So in order to kind of fix this economy, and I get this quite a bit of how and what we should do in order for us to get the long-term sustainable growth, there are about $1.7 trillion sitting in cash right now in corporate America.
Yeah, in the neighborhood of $2 trillion, yeah.
Yeah, and so when you're taking a look at what the norm is...
In the United States, there's another $3 trillion to $3 to $5 trillion outside the United States held by corporate America.
That's right. But within the United States, that we can deploy in the United States without having double taxation, we're sitting on $1.7 trillion to $2 trillion. And in most cases, without that uncertainty, if they knew what the rules were of how much they're going to be taxed, what healthcare was going to cost for them, they could deploy that down to about $400 billion, which is about what we should be at.
See, that sounds like total nonsense to me, respectfully, David. It sounds like total nonsense. I can't understand why any business person would say, I'm not going to make business decisions. I'm not going to run ads for my product. I'm not going to manufacture more product. I'm not going to grow my company if there's demand for it. Why they wouldn't make decisions based on the state of their business rather than uncertainty. I mean, this, Paul Krugman calls it the uncertainty fairy. I mean, it seems to me like a fairy tale.
It's really not. So let me just kind of inject here for one quick second. So if they deploy that money because they knew if they invested that capital in their company, they would be able to quantifiably say that this is a type of return that we would get, and that is something that's measurable. They would deploy that, we would be able to double our growth overnight without increasing taxes, without doing anything to add to the deficit. We would probably lower our unemployment rate by at least 2 to 3 points easily within 6 to 9 months.
Where is the demand coming from?
So the demand in itself, from a consumption standpoint, can easily come from the investments that are being made.
How? Demand is what drives economies, and demand is the 95% of the source of demand, and even Milton Friedman agrees with this, is wages.
So let me just say that in my opinion, there are too much attention towards consumption and not enough through producers. And let me give you an example. Before there was an iPad, there was no demand for an iPad. The consumption for an iPad didn't exist. Before there were eggs, there was no demand for eggs. So instead of saying that we should worry about the consumers, we should worry about invention, we should worry about people that have $1.7 trillion in capital that can deploy that, invest in it, in the hopes that they are able to create demand as well.
So you're telling me that Apple is not developing new products because they're afraid of uncertainty?
You're talking about one very specific company out of hundreds of thousands.
Or any other rational company.
I am saying exactly that people are sitting on their hands rather than deploying their capital.
I think they're sitting on their capital because they're concerned that there's an international global financial crash coming. That and that may be what you're referring to when you say uncertainty, because the fundamentals are so screwed up. We have no functional trade policy in this country. We have no energy policy. We have no manufacturing policy. And it's like 30 years of Reaganomics has totally screwed this country.
I would have to respectfully disagree. Since I'm hearing music, I'm assuming we're done.
Yeah, so you get the final
word.
Agree
to disagree.
Okay.
But I will tell you, there is going to be demand, and people are willing to make that investment if there was certainty in taxes and certainty in other areas, including regulation.
Okay, great. David Park. Hang on just a second, David, here.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
I'm sorry, that guy always steps on me. David Park with the Job Creators Alliance, jobcreatorsalliance.org. Thank you, David.
Thank you for having me.